Yes, good evening. This is Lorenzo Coleman from Elephants in the Room, which is a podcast that been created for YouTube users. And the purpose of our organization is to introduce you to a lot of things that are going on in the streets in the world today and to get your comments and feedback. We don't want to hold back on anything. We want everyone to be aware of the issues that are facing our neighborhoods across the country and across the world. With that being said, let's start today's segment. Unfortunately, we're going to have to start today's segment on a very, very sad situation. And unless you've been living under a rock somewhere, you've heard about the Kyrie situation. Kyrie was a young man. His full name was Kyrie Nichols. He was 29 years of age. And on, I believe it was January 7th, I believe it was, somewhere around that time, he was stopped by the Memphis police, and they were claiming that he had been riding recklessly, even though there's no proof that he was ever riding recklessly. He was stopped by five policemen who belonged to a unit called the Scorpion Unit. Here's the irony in all this. The Scorpion Unit stood for Street Crimes Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods. Peace. Now, keep in mind that. And what kind of peace do they restore? So these five black officers did. They stopped this man, again claiming he was riding recklessly, which there's no proof that he was. But instead of asking him for his insurance and proof of his registration or his driver's license, they immediately pulls this man out of the car and starts beating on him. He managed to get away somehow, which all of us would want to do. And if you feel like your life has been threatened, you run. People ask, why do you run from the cops? Well, this is a good example of why people run from the cops, because they feel it's safer. So he runs, but they catch up with him, and for quite a length of time, they start beating this man again. They took turns macing him, hitting him with their billy clubs, punching him in the face to the point to where he wasn't even able to stand up. They held him up and continued to do it. It was a mob attack. They took turns doing this. This was worse than the Rodney King incident. And in fact, it's being shown on television as we speak. And I advise you, unless you have a strong stomach, take my advice. Don't do it, and take my word for it. They were wrong. Try not to watch this, but if you can, do. But I'm going to tell you, it's not easy to watch. I watched it, and I kept going in and out of the room because I couldn't stand to sit back and watch it. But anyhow, these five police officers' name was Justin Smith, Emmett Martin, Desmond Mills, Demetrius Haley, and Tadarius Bean. These were the five police officers, black police officers, who did this to this young man. And we all know that it's not about the race of the police officer. It's the culture they're adapted to. It's the culture that they've taken into their minds and absorbed and figured that they could do this to this young man, this black young man, and not get away with it. And I guarantee you, had this young man been a white person, I doubt if that would have happened. But one thing that I can commend the police department on is that they did take swift action. They did fire the policemen at a pretty acceptable time, and they also filed charges, and they also put the video out for the people to see. Now, let's go over the charges these police officers are facing. I've got it here somewhere. Okay. One, they've been charged with second-degree murder. 2, aggravated kidnapping, 2 counts of it. 3, official misconduct. And 4, official oppression, and so forth. But they are also under federal investigation, which means there may be more charges coming. What I find interesting also is that there are 5 other officers who were dismissed involving this situation, but the names haven't been given out or why they were being dismissed. And also, there are two firemen who have been dismissed. Now, I don't know what the reason for that, but I guess we'll find out later what the reason for that is. I also find it interesting that you haven't heard too much from the mayor, because my understanding that the Memphis chapter of Black Lives Matter have been complaining to the mayor a number of times about these situations and how the public is being mistreated by the police department in Memphis, and he hasn't replied. But now I think he gave two token statements about what happened now, but I'm sure that's why because he was forced to it. And they have a police chief, a female police chief, who were the ones who did fire these police officers, and I guess conducted as far as the charge has been filed. But at the same time, I'm getting word too that prior to this happening, she did very little about the abuse that was going on in the Black community by the police officers. So there's a lot of blame to go around. And as they are calling for peace, they're all calling for calm amidst the protests. But what I find interesting is that why do you call for calm about the people, but you're not calling for calm when it comes to the police officers? See? So we see there's a culture, that's a systemic culture across this country of police officers doing this kind of thing. And we're learning that it doesn't just affect the Black community, because there's a documentary coming out on February 3rd. I think the documentary is called Killing County or something like that. But it basically involved white people who are being killed by their white cops there. You know, Kaepernick is producing the film, and I want to give my shout outs to him because he's done a lot in terms of police brutality and bringing it to the public attention. He's even done so much to where he sacrificed his career. So we should support this brother 100%. Now, I want to hear from the public and see what you think. And don't forget to give your likes, to this to our podcast. Again, it's Elephants in the Room podcast. Now, you can find it on Lorenza Coleman on YouTube. Lorenza, Lorenza Coleman, Coleman on YouTube. But I just advise everyone to get out and join this protest. I mean, if you're able to, don't let this go by. Sure enough, people are saying that, well, they acted swiftly and we're pleased with that. But yes, but we should continue the protest. We should continue the marching, because these kind of things just don't go away. These men knew they were being recorded. They had to. They should have known that there were cameras all around, even though their body cams don't show anything. But of course, at least we had those footages from the cameras in the community, which were there to help spot crime, and it did its job. They spotted a crime. So please don't be silent on this one. Don't let this one slide. Get out there and protest. Get out there and make your voices be heard. So again, this is our first segment. We're going to have a lot more segments. We're going to talk about a lot of other things too. We're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about history. We're going to talk about a lot of things that's been going on in our community. It's not going to just be about police misconduct, but anytime it does happen, we're all going to talk about it. But there's a lot of things. If you have any suggestions, let us know, because we're going to be anxious to hear from you. So stay tuned. This was a short one. It was only maybe 10 minutes long, but others hopefully are going to be longer. We're going to have other people on the panel next time, and we're going to have a discussion. And sometimes it may get a little heated sometimes, but that's okay, And if you have any suggestions on things you'd like to talk about, things that we can improve on, hey, feel free to do that, because we're always open to suggestions. We even maybe have a few celebrities on our show. You'd be surprised who we know. So stay in tune. Again, it's Elephants in the Room, okay? Podcast on YouTube. You can find it under Lorenza Coleman. It's one big word together, Lorenza Coleman. That's my name, Lorenza. And most people call me Bo, and you're free to call me Bo if you want. So stay tuned. We're going to have more coming, and have a blessed day.